In the headlines, flood submerges Abuja housing estate, properties destroyed as residents count losses. Properties worth millions of naira destroyed as fire razes homes in Ilorin. Presidential Election Tribunal admits documents against Tinubu as Atiku closes case. And on the foreign scene, UN says 37 migrants missing after shipwreck between Tunisia and Italy. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. And now the news in detail. Flood on Friday submerged houses and cars at Trademore Estate, Lugbe, Abuja after an early morning rainfall. A similar occurrence had a devastating effect on the area in 2021. Trust TV's Abdurrahman Umar reports that though no life was lost, properties worth millions were destroyed. His report.
The heavy rainfall in the morning sent many residents of Trademore Estate packing, submerging the entire area, leaving many with option but to swim to safety. A resident says if not for their quick intervention, a pregnant woman's life would have been lost.
Those days I saw water for my body like this. I just rescued one woman, she get body, she carry belly. She was there. I rescued the woman first.
Pius Bimbo says his pregnant wife, who was nearly lost to the flood, is to deliver this week and the experience was terrible.
As a matter of fact, she's expected to deliver this week. So she was very heavy. Even this morning, before I could sleep, she was complaining of the stomach pain. So I said, okay, let me rest by the grace of God. If it is a labor, then maybe later in the day we'll go to the hospital so they can check her. Then all of a sudden this one happened. Ashabi
Gloria is amongst the many victims that lost their properties worth millions of naira to the flood. She said measures against flood should have been considered when developing the area.
You see, this thing happen every year and there is no solution. You know, every year keep on happening, no solution. It's a pity when they are developing here, you know, they're supposed to put this thing into consideration. The drainage system is very, very important because here is a drainage system. Look at it. It's a valley place side. They did not put this into consideration.
Another resident, Nicholas Sule, says he received a phone call upon his arrival but found his car completely submerged.
So like I was there when someone called me that, wow, like my other car is, like there's a heavy rain and my car is down. So like I have to rush down. Before I came, like my car has been submerged. So I think it's a very terrible experience and I'm trying to get the water out and to maybe probably take the mechanic later if can revive it.
Chairman Trademore Estate Association Phase 1 Tunde Sholabo says earmarking houses for demolition in the estate is not the way to go about mitigating the source of the flooding.
Yes, FCDA came here last year, marked 100 and something houses, that the solution to this perennial flood is for them to bring those houses down, which they did, without we offering any word or hindering their services. But we told them that this demolition will never bring a solution to this flooding. There must be a source to this flooding. Why are you not using engineering solution in tackling this flood than bringing people's houses? We can see today 100 houses has gone, but the flood persisted. So where is this water coming from? That's the question that government need to answer.
Director for Forecasting Response and Mitigation Federal Capital Emergency Management Agency FEMA, Florence Winigime, says no life was lost, noting that Abuja is marked as a red zone for flooding this year.
Residents are all here. The chairman is here. You've spoken to him and he has confirmed that so far nobody is missing. But the truth is that we had a heavy downpour today, and there has been predictions about this heavy downpour and flooding within the FCT. FCT is among the red zone for this year when the predictions of the flood outlook was made.
Last year, over hundreds of houses were demolished in the area to avert possible flood. Abdurrahman Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In the same vein, Katsina State Governor Dikko Rada has paid an assessment visit to communities affected by flood disaster in Jibia town in 2018 with a view to preventing a recurrence. Now, the visit followed a Trust TV report on possible flood disaster in the area this year due to refuse dumping in the drainage constructed by the state government. Abdullahi Ahmadi reports that the governor also met customs officials, Jibia business community and other stakeholders. His report.
The assessment visit to the scene of 2018 flood in Jibia is to see what residents of the affected communities are doing and if it poses danger to the environment and possible flood disaster. Over 50 people, mostly women and children, lost their lives, while properties worth hundreds of millions of naira were destroyed in Jibia town following a flood disaster in 2018. Some residents are, however, dumping refuse inside drainages and building houses indiscriminately in flood-prone areas of the town. Governor Dikko Rada directed the firm that constructed the drainages to start the phase 2 of the project with immediate effect, warning residents to desist from dumping refuse inside drainages. Governor Rada also listens to complaints from Jibia business community against the officials of the Nigeria Customs Service, bordering on extortions, seizure of goods that are not prohibited by authorities from any part of Nigeria to Jibia town.
For those who want to buy something from Kaduna or any other market, to bring it to Jibia for trading and for the use of the people of Jibia, I see no reason why those people should go into a hardship. So I think I will urge the controller to invite the head of those units that are mounting roadblocks between Katsina to Jibia and making life hard on our people for a meeting with you and the head of those commands and myself at the government house.
Jibia town shares border with Maradi in Niger Republic. Abdullahi Izumai Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Taraba State Governor Abu Kaifas has signed Executive Order No. 3 suspending all mining activities in the state. The action, according to the governor, became necessary given the danger it poses to the ecosystem. The governor said such dangers also lead to the exploitation of vulnerable communities and increased crime rate, which contributes to social unrest while negatively affecting the revenue generation of the state. Describing illegal mining as a cancer that has eaten deep into the fabric of the state, the governor stressed that the unregulated extraction of minerals had led to deforestation, soil erosion, water pollution, and loss of biodiversity. He empowered law enforcement agencies to go after anyone found violating the order. According to him, the state's rivers have become contaminated, affecting the health of its people and jeopardizing agricultural activities. A fire outbreak in Ilorin on Friday destroyed properties worth 14.6 million naira. The incident occurred at about 7 p.m. at Awodi Sobi Road, Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. According to the spokesman of the State Fire Service, Hassan Adekule, the fire gutted a story building of 10 flats as a result of power surge. He said upon receiving the distress call from Abibat, the fire service promptly mobilized its firefighting team to the scene. The firefighters arrived at the location, swiftly brought the fire under control and prevented it from spreading further. 5 flats were affected, while other flats, including many valuable properties, were saved from the fire. Director of the State Fire Service, Falade John Olumuyiwa, urged the residents to always cultivate the habit of switching off the electrical appliances before bedtime, as this would help them prevent the chances of fire outbreak in their homes. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has closed his case at the Petitions Court on Friday with a plethora of documents rendered and 27 witnesses given evidences. Now, before closing his case, Atiku, through his last witness, presented documents of Tinubu's academic qualification to the presidential court as evidence to prove that Tinubu's credentials sent to INEC were fake. Atiku, through his witness, Mike Enahoro Eba, tendered Tinubu's Chicago University certificate, NYSC certificate, certificate service from Mobil Oil Nigeria, bearing the name Adekunle Tinubu and not Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He also presented actual degree certificate, original admission letter of Tinubu by Chicago University in 1977, original transcript of Southwest College given to Chicago University. Atiku told the court that in the said school transcript, his gender was referred to as female and not male.
We fielded our last witness today, who, as you can see, tendered very, very critical documents pertaining to the qualifications of the second respondent, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The academic qualifications, including the NYSC certificate, and then the conviction, the criminal forfeiture judgment from the US, as well as the Guinean passport. So all these documents were admitted by the court, and we were able to round off our case on that note, having called 27 witnesses. So, and as the law permits us, and also in accordance with the pre-hearing report, we have eventually closed the calling of evidence by the petitioner. So the next stage now is for the respondents. If they have any defense, they will bring forward their own witnesses, and it will now be our turn to cross-examine those witnesses. If we have documents to challenge them with, we'll do so. When they finish calling their witnesses, they too will close their case formally, and then the parties will now address the court on issues of law. That's why you see most of the times questions are asked, we say these are matters for address, because there are legal issues that at the end of the day will address the honorable court on.
About 264 million people are living with depression, according to a 2018 data by a research organization, Our World Data. Now, more than 1 million cases of those diagnosed with depression are linked to substance abuse. Ibrahim Ismail speaks to a medical expert about the effects of drug abuse on mental health.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says over 14 million Nigerians are using illicit substances. Neuropharmacologists say substance abuse impacts negatively on the human brain. By implication, a lot of Nigerians using illicit substances may be mentally unstable.
We must ensure that the youth are protected. We are not allowed to initiate the use of some of these substances. The users already that have been co-opted into it, we should ensure that they are treated. The commandant told us here today, narcotics, that even those who have started using these drugs, they can be treated. So I think we need to also put a lot of emphasis on research in this area, our universities and institutes, how to treat some of these substances. And I'm happy that I heard a presentation by a traditional medical practitioner that probably they have something they can give also.
Besides damaging the human brain, substance abuse triggers complications in pregnant women and newborns, which health experts say could affect children's learning ability.
After the delivery, the baby will now may now suffer withdrawal symptoms. And this withdrawal symptoms is because the baby is already used to all the drugs inside the mother's womb. So immediately after delivery, that exposure is not there again. So this baby will now develop withdrawal symptoms, seizures, many things that may even make the baby to die again immediately after the delivery. And if that baby didn't still die, the baby may get, that child may grow up and enroll in school and be having serious learning difficulties.
I realize that the prevalence rate at younger age is rising. And if I can quote the commandant of narcotics, Mr. Okechukwu, he said that in the next 30 years, if we did not address this system, we will not have youth. So it means it's better to catch these young children at a very younger age, tell them the effect of drug abuse and its impact on their body system so that they can take the message to their friends.
Women and young Nigerians are at risk of imbibing the habit of substance abuse due to peer pressure.
I don't like taking drugs. So if the drugs was prescribed by the doctor, I'll take. But if not, I'll not even go near the drugs because it's very dangerous. Even paracetamol.
Drug abuse may lead to lots of memory loss, while some leads to brain damage and all of that. So you think that taking in drugs or something like that will help to cure this problem, but you are not realizing that it's creating another problem.
To reduce the burden of mental health disorder, experts believe society must win the fight against drug. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we take a look at worrisome developments associated with price of grains. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Trust News Update. A recap of our top stories. We told you that flood submerges Abuja housing estate, properties destroyed as residents count losses. You also heard that properties worth millions of naira destroyed as fire razes homes in Ilorin. Moving to other stories, 156 intending pilgrims from Kaduna State will not perform this year's exercise due to non-issuance of visa. 108 intending pilgrims paid their monies through Hajj savings scheme, while about 48 paid directly to Kaduna State Muslim Pilgrims Agency. Now, the intending pilgrims said despite meeting all the requirements and the necessary documentation, they were informed that they cannot travel to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more on the report.
The Hajj savings scheme is introduced to help people to pay their Hajj fares with ease. However, 108 people who paid through Hajj savings scheme in Kaduna will not perform this Hajj as they were not issued with visas. Earlier, the National Hajj Commission NACON issued a press statement over alleged refusal to allocate the slot to intending pilgrims who enrolled through the Hajj savings scheme in many states, including Kaduna.
We did the necessary documentation in Kaduna State Pilgrims Welfare Board. We had our vaccination. The vaccination too were done individually because we were the ones that went to primary health cares. Like I went to primary health care and paid their 500 naira for the vaccination. So they gave us our uniforms, bags, everything.
Hear it from the executive secretary that the 108 HSS scheme, we don't have visa.
They said all the effort to secure their visas for pilgrimage were futile.
We delegate 10 people from our members out of 108. They went straight to Abuja headquarters. We found out that it was as a result of the allocation, the reduction in allocation of 700 that was made to Kaduna State. That's the reason why he denied us our own visa.
It was even on Friday, very late, that we had that some of the JAI subscribers had that we are not going to be airlifted.
The executive secretary said NACON had initially given Kaduna State 6,487 slots for the 2023 pilgrimage, and the agency remitted over 15 billion naira to NACON account before the expiration of the deadline.
And I asked my ICT office not to apply for visas for those in Hajj 7 scheme. Really, Jaiz Bank remitted all their monies to NACON. It is NACON that will give them visa. It is NACON that will convey them through us to Saudi Arabia. But unfortunately, because NACON reduced the slot given to us after we have already registered pilgrims, we decided to keep Jai's 7 scheme aside, because they are not our business. The business belongs to NACON. That's what happened. We registered ourselves, and now NACON could not provide them with their slots or with their visas. So I don't know their fate.
While appealing to the authorities concerned to look into the matter to avoid future recurrence, the intending pilgrims said they will petition relevant agencies over the matter.
Well, our demand is this thing should not keep happening. And if next year there is an additional charges that we are expected to pay to go for Hajj, it should not be from us.
Our next line of action is we are going to write a collective petition.
The hopes of these 156 intending pilgrims of performing this year's Hajj is dashed as pilgrims airlifted will move to Mina on Monday for the Hajj rituals. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Customers at the Jalingo main market have described as a worrisome development the rise in cost of grains in the market. The surge in price, according to Trust TV findings, has reduced the purchasing power of most customers and brought a lull in the value chain. The report.
Before now, the prices of grains during the raining season are relatively low, unlike this year when prices have surged to record highs. This has strained household incomes and threatened livelihoods. Some sellers attributed the price increase to the deregulation in the oil sector by the federal government and the closure of borders.
We just do not have leaders in this country. That is why poor people are suffering. Food scarcity is real, and leaders must do something. We pray for our leaders to come to our aid.
They further blamed the bad road network, recent cashless policy the country undertook, insecurity among other reasons as major causes of the increase in farm produce in the market.
A bag of beans is sold at 45,000 naira. In addition to high transport fares, we pay money at checkpoints. Prices have generally gone up where we buy. What worries us more is the money at checkpoints. Government should please help us intervene.
According to them, a 100 kg bag of maize which was sold recently at the rate of 25,000 naira is now 33,000, while 100 kg bag of rice was sold at the rate of 25,000 naira is now 27,000. Guinea corn was also affected as a bag which is now 35,000 naira was sold recently at the cost of 25,000 naira, while a bag of beans which was recently sold at 45,000 naira is now 55,000 naira.
Increase in the prices of goods in the market is on high speed, it's on high increase. Because the rice that we used to buy before a measure of 400, 450, 500. Now we're buying rice at 1,500 naira.
Some customers who lamented the negative impact of the masses added that they have reduced the measure of grains they consumed in order to enable them pay commercial tricycle operators, popularly known as Keke Napep, to make up for the increased transportation for them and their grains to their various destinations.
Everything has changed now. Dollar has increased, oil is expensive, oil has also increased, and many things have increased. That's why I think that's one of the reasons why items in the market are expensive now. I'm appealing that the government should look into it and it should help us, the masses.
Both the customers and the sellers appealed to the government to do the needful for the betterment of the masses and the country at large.
And on the foreign scene, 37 migrants are feared missing after their boat capsized between Tunisia and the Italian island of Lampedusa, the International Organization for Migration said on Friday, citing an account by 4 survivors of the shipwreck. Now, the United Nations agency said the survivors, all from sub-Saharan Africa, arrived on Lampedusa late on Thursday, having been rescued from the shipwreck by another vessel. The survivors told the IOM they left the Tunisian port of Sfax, heading for Italy with 46 people aboard, but their boat capsized in strong winds. An IOM spokesman in Italy told Reuters that they recounted that 5 of their fellow travelers were picked up by another boat, while 37 missing are feared dead, including 7 women and a child. Earlier, the UN's High Commission for Refugees gave a similar account of the same incident, but said 40 people were believed to be missing rather than 37. It was not immediately clear if the 4 survivors who recounted their story to the IOM were on one of the 3 boats. And finally, in sports, Remo Stars thrashed Southwest rivals Shooting Stars 3-0 at the Eket Township Stadium to seal a place in the Niger Super 8 playoffs. Now, Andy Okwe picked up a spill ball by Shooting Stars goalkeeper to slot home a goal 7 minutes after a good walk from Seun Ogunribide. It was 2-0 4 minutes later with Boniface Nwaeze nodding home a deft corner kick from Ogunribide. Samuel Anakwe added the third 14 minutes from time. Lobby Stars picked the ticket to represent North Central Zone in the competition after a thrilling 4-3 penalty shootout against City FC. The game ended in a 2-2 draw after 90 minutes. In the shootout, Lobby Stars converted 4 kicks while City FC netted thrice. The Niger Super 8 finals is slated for July 7 to July 16 at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikon, Lagos. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.